After so many years of dreaming to become a doctor, it is finally your time to choose your medical school. You go online and type in medical schools in the UK, and so many results: UCL, Queen Mary University London, University of Manchester, but UCAS only gives you 4 choices. So where should I apply to? You search and search beautiful pictures, you check the university websites, you create lists, you weigh up pros and cons, but still nothing. So the real question remains: where should I apply to? Where should I go in the end? You sit there and you think and you think and you think, but nothing helps. So in the end, you still ask yourself, what medical school is the best one for me? Hey everyone, and welcome back to Kevin's World. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining. My name is Kevin and I'm a soon-to-be medical student at Barcelona London Medical School. So if you clicked on this video, you're probably considering applying for medicine in the UK, and that's great. But now the question is, to which university should you apply to? And is there a way to apply in a manner that maximizes your chances? And yes, there is. And in this video, I will tell you all about applying strategically and choosing the right medical school for you. Before we start with this video, I would really appreciate it if you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, because I upload every Monday and Friday, so you do not miss any new videos. So the first question is, why should you even choose certain universities over others? And I think the most easy answer to this question is that you only get 4 choices in the UCAS online application system. So you can only apply to 4 medicine courses in the UK in each year. So you cannot apply to all of the universities for medicine like you can in other countries, but instead you're only allowed to put in 4 choices. And that makes it a bit tricky, because there might be more universities that you like than just 4, or you think if you apply to all the universities, obviously your chances are higher to get a place. So what is the best way to sort of use your 4 choices? And in my opinion, that's the so-called portfolio strategy, or at least that's what I would call it. So what is the portfolio strategy? And the portfolio strategy is basically that you divide the universities that you're interested in 3 different categories and then choose accordingly. So the 3 categories are ambitious universities, so universities that you're sort of on the edge or not sure if you meet their minimum entry requirements, so it's a long shot to apply there, but you still would like to give it a chance. So I would categorize them as sort of ambitious choices or ambitious universities. Then the second category are the universities which you would really be happy if they would offer you a place, and you would definitely be happy to go there, and you're sort of also quite sure that you meet the minimum entry requirements. And the third category is a university that I would choose where you know definitely that you will meet the minimum entry requirements. Maybe it's not your favorite university, but you still would be happy going there, and you know that it's sort of a safe or an insurance choice. So if everything goes wrong, you can at least count on that university, that you at least get invited to interview there. So now that you know what a portfolio strategy is, it's time to look up universities where you would like to apply to and then sort of categorize them. And what are the factors that you should choose in order to categorize the universities, but also to make sure that you would be happy there. And I think the 2 most important factors are minimum grade requirements the university has, and UCAT or BMAT test score requirement the university has. Your grades and your test score sort of are the foundation of the application. Of course, there are things like your personal statement and your qualities, such as what extracurricular activities you do or your communication skills. But the first thing universities will screen for are grades and test scores, most likely. So it's important to choose universities that sort of line up with the qualifications and grades and test scores that you have. So for example, in my case, I knew that University of Edinburgh has very high UCAT test score expectations, but I knew that I also fulfill the minimum entry requirements in terms of grades. So that was my ambitious choice, because I knew, okay, I fulfill the minimum entry requirements grade-wise, but with the UCAT test score, I'm not quite sure. So it's not the safest option, but I still would like to give it a shot. For the second category, that was for me Queen Mary University London and Manchester University. Those 2 universities were the universities where I would really be happy to go to, and when I looked at their website, I knew that I sort of fulfilled their entry requirements, and I could at least grade-wise and UCAT-wise expect to get an interview invitation. And then my last choice was University of Aberdeen. And don't get me wrong, University of Aberdeen is a very good university, but I knew that location-wise and all of that, it's not my favorite choice, but when I looked at the entry requirements, I knew that I'm gonna definitely have the grades and my UCAT test score is definitely also meeting the minimum requirements. So when you look up universities you would like to apply to, be aware that different universities use a test score in a different way. So some universities might have a minimum threshold or a minimum test score, and if you do not get at least that in that test score, they will not consider your application. Some universities are open and say they consider every application no matter what your test score is, but they give you some sort of score or weighting on your test score, which then sort of counts into your overall score, which they use to determine who gets invited to interview. And some universities might not even use it at all and say that they use it only after the interview, but I think that's quite rare. So definitely make sure that you look up the universities that you're interested in applying to and look at their admissions page and see how they use it and understand how they use the different components of your application so you can make a sort of informed choice. Also be aware that the test score requirements may change every year depending on the cohort of applicants. So all applicants together sort of are the cohort of applicants, and each year the university will look at this cohort and then will sort of determine the thresholds or who gets how many points for what test score depending on that cohort. So it might change every year, but it's in general a good idea to look at sort of the last 2 years maybe before you apply, and all universities somewhere on the website shares their admission statistics for medicine. So you can go there and you can see how many people got invited for interview, how many people were rejected, what were their average UCAT test scores or BMAT test scores and all of that. So that's definitely a very helpful resource. So go on the university website and check for those admission statistics, and if they do not have them, you have the right to request them. So with all that being said, I still would like to tell you that you shouldn't be afraid to apply to universities where you think like, oh, that's maybe too risky or too ambitious. If you really liked the university, it's worth giving it a shot, because if you use the portfolio strategy, you still have your other three choices where you most likely will get an invitation for interview or an offer later on. So why not just try it? So if you think that your application has a sort of weakness somewhere, like maybe that's your grades or your test score, if you have another part of your application that's really competitive, sort of a very high UCAT test score but maybe not the best grades, that might balance it out, or vice versa. So it's still worth maybe giving it a shot at more ambitious choices. So now that you know all about applying strategically in order to maximize your chances of getting an interview invitation and offer, we should also talk about how you can sort of choose the right medical school for you in terms of where you would fit in or where you would be maybe the most happy. So other important factors that you should consider when you look at medical schools are the course structure, unique features about the university, teaching methods, location, and maybe even the living costs of that place. So the course structure I think is really, really important, because if you're not aware of that, in the UK, different universities have different approaches to teaching you medicine. So some courses are referred to as traditional courses because they very much focus on lectures. Some courses are referred to as PBL courses, or PBL heavy courses, because they use a lot of problem-based learning, which is sort of like working together in a group and a very active style of learning. And depending on what sort of type of learner you are, some course structures are better for you than others. So if you know that you're a person who really much loves and enjoys sort of proactive learning and learning in a group, then a PBL heavy course is maybe right for you. And you might be also the person who says, no, I would prefer to have like sort of a mixture of both, so sort of lectures and PBL. So that's called an integrated course, and that's also very common in the UK. So definitely, so make sure that you know the course structure that you use at a particular university you would like to apply to, and if it fits you. So another important factor are the teaching methods. So different universities may use different teaching methods. So at some universities it's very common to practicals and all of that. Some universities might heavily rely on dissections instead of prosections, while other universities only use prosections. So if you're not aware of the difference, dissections is basically like you as a student, of course, underguiding dissecting a cadaver yourself, while at prosections they sort of already dissect it for you and you can look at it. And this is sort of then a unique feature about a university, which leads me to sort of looking at unique features. So some universities might have opportunities to go abroad, while some others might have different opportunities that are not available at University X. So definitely make sure that you find sort of good reasons why you would like to study there, because not only will this help you maybe later on in an interview when they ask you about it, but also, of course, it's only for the best for you. And in the end, it comes down that you should be happy at that particular university and with the teaching style. And another thing that I like to mention is the location of the university. And some people might say that's not important at all. Why should you even bother thinking about location? In the end, it's about the university and the course. And yes, that's true. There might be factors that are more important, like I just said, the course structure. But in the end, you have to live there for 5 to 6 years, most likely. And that's a long, long time to live somewhere. So you should be happy with the location. Maybe you know that you more a city type of person and you thrive in the cities, you like to have many opportunities around you, many restaurants and all of that. Or maybe you're the person who says, no, I'm more of a nature kind of person and I would love to go on weekend trips, camping and all of that in sort of beautiful landscapes. So yes, definitely also consider location, because for example, when I went to Aberdeen for my interview, don't get me wrong, the University of Aberdeen is still a very, very good university. But I didn't see myself in that city. The city didn't give me the vibe that I expected, and so I knew that if I have the choice, maybe I should go somewhere else, because yes, the course structure and all of that is important, but then living there for 5 to 6 years, I couldn't see myself in Aberdeen for 5 to 6 years, to be honest. So that's definitely important and you should consider it. Another things are rankings. And don't get me wrong, I've been there, I've done that, I've looked up rankings, all of them that you can easily find online, and I fell into the trap of thinking like, okay, this university is ranked really high or has very high prestige, so that's a good university. And yes, rankings maybe for some subjects are very important, and I mean, there's a reason why they exist, but on the other hand, for medicine, do not focus too much on the rankings. And that's something that I realized quite late in sort of my process of applying to medical school, but it's good that I realized that. Because yes, prestige is something that surrounds all of us, and you know, also universities have certain prestige. I mean, all of us know Oxbridge and they have a certain reputation, and that's great. But in the UK, all universities that offer medicine have to be sort of approved by the GMC, which is the General Medical Council. And this means that all universities that offer medicine in the UK have to fulfill certain standards and requirements. And this means that in the end, it doesn't really matter where you go for university, because you will still get an excellent education no matter where you go. Also keep in mind that later on, after you finish your medicine degree, it doesn't really matter to what university you have been to, at least when you apply in the UK. Because in the UK, when you apply for specialty training, there's no sort of brownie points for you because you've been to a very prestigious university, very competitive specialties just because you've been to university X, Y. My camera went off for like the 3rd time because it's overheating. I don't know what's wrong with it, but yeah, that's why I'm filming now from my phone. I hope you don't mind and I will figure out what's the problem with it. But for now, let's just move on with the video. So the last thing I would like to mention is that there are 2 very helpful resources that I used back then when I applied to medical school, when it came down to choosing the universities I would like to apply to. So one resource is that there is a document by medschools.ac.uk. I will link it down below. They've created a PDF document with all the universities in the UK that offer medicine, with their minimum grade requirements, how test scores are used, and how in general sort of the ratios between interview invitations and applications and all of that. So that's very helpful. And another helpful resource is Medic Portal, I think it's called, the medicportal.com. I will also link it down below. And basically they also have a list where they tell you how the sort of pre-interview assessment process looks like at the different universities for medicine. So what factors or what parts of your application matter the most and all of that. And I will also link that down below in the description box. So definitely make sure to check it out, because it really helped me when I applied to medical school. So the only thing left to say is that thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please give it a like and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And yeah, also if you have any questions left, feel free to leave them down in the comments below or DM me on my Instagram. And I also would be really much interested in what's your favorite university right now, or where would you like to go the most if they would give you an offer for medicine. So also let me down in the comments. Yes. And I hope I see you guys next time. Make sure you stay safe and bye.